Hello, my name is Juan Vides. I'm the founder of Winning on Wednesday. WOW is a virtual networking platform that brings together between 50 to 80 people every week to share ideas and discuss their business to get to know each other. I often say people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And talk about getting to know people. I want to introduce my guest today. Is Patti Scallan. How are you, Patty?
I am well, one.
Very good. And Patty, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me. My first career was in banking. I was a bank manager for years, and then I stopped to raise my babies. And when I got back into the work world, I took a job with a homeopathic company, and that started my love of alternative health. So I've been in alternative health for 20 years. I had a holistic wellness center for 10 of those years, and now I work with an incredible medical breakthrough. So that's it.
Wow. Wow. And I always like to start my interviews with, we want to know how you got where you got, but let's start with your parents because I always feel that our parents set good values with us and teach us, and we learn from our parents. That's the first persons that we learn in our life is our parents.
You bet.
So, so tell us what your parents did for a living.
Well, my father was an entrepreneur, so I know that I got that from him. He had his own businesses. I mean, I lost him early. However, he had a furniture business at the time when he passed. But he was always in business for himself and was very entrepreneurial. So I got that from him. My mother was a nurse's aide, and at one time she had her own dress shop. But what I really got from my mother was kindness. I think that sometimes that's a lost art today. And, from her, she was always kind. I mean, I had six siblings, so there was seven of us. And I don't ever remember her screaming and ranting and raving. She just always was kind. And I learned that, and that's what I try and put out in the world every day. Joy and kindness.
Wow, and that's exactly what our parents and exactly what I'm talking about, that our parents set these values with us and we learn from our folks and then we pass it on to our kids and our next generations, And to your point, Patty, we need a little bit more kindness in this world today.
You bet.
Especially what's going on in this world. So tell us as a kid, what did you want to be when you wanted to grow up?
I would say that a teacher is what I thought about often. I feel like I'm a nurturer for one, but I just feel like I'm always gathering information and I want to share it with people. And although I never became a teacher, the place I am in my life now, I get to teach many people about how to take care of themselves. So it has come full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you taught me a couple of things too, and we continue to teach each other, which is wonderful and great. And we, will continue to learn. Did you have any role models when you were growing up, or anybody that inspired you? Any books or anything like that? Anything that kind of, made you geared into what you're doing now? Into
Well, honestly, I would still say it was just my parents. I always, the fact that my father was always in his own business, I mean, that inspired me to want to do that. And so I would just say him. I wish he was around longer. I would have learned a lot more, I'm sure. But yeah, my
that,
parents were my role models.
that's great. I always say that you always want to take your kids to work or to take them to a professional setting so that they can have that experience. Listen, I took my kids not too long ago to a judge's house. I was invited by a judge over his house to his beach house, and we had a wonderful time. And now my kids can say, "Hey, look, got to hang out with a retired judge, and got that experience and learning from a professional."
Hmm.
And so it's wonderful that you learned a lot and that they had that experience at a very young age. And I always say it's always good to have your kids or bring your kids to work because you give them that exposure that they need.
Of course, of course. Well, in my early adulthood, Oprah was a big inspiration for me. I never missed Oprah. She just everything about her business sense, her her connection to her soul. She was awesome. She's awesome. So I would say that she was definitely one of my role models.
Exactly. I remember watching Oprah a lot when I was growing up. I mean, who didn't? I mean, she was all over
Right.
the news. She was all over the not the news, but the TV. And growing up, yes, I see. I think sooner or later somebody in their lifetime had to have to watch an Oprah show. Whether it was special, somebody had to watch Oprah because everybody knows who Oprah is.
Well,
Uh,
and I think Oprah, from, she came from a very harsh background,
mhm.
and I believe that she's never forgotten that, and that's to be commended.
Absolutely, we all do. I mean, certainly I came from a harsh background too. I mean,
Yep.
from a very early age, I was traumatized as a kid with the war.
Right.
But this is what makes us stronger, and the perseverance and the adversity we all face. And actually, that's what makes us today. And again, we're there. And thank you for our parents for always supporting us and always inspiring us. When you were growing, did your parents support you with any anything that you did, like a sports hobbies or anything that you had any interest when you were growing up? Because I find it that right now with my kids growing up, I'm finding supporting them. Like my son plays lacrosse, my daughter does ice skating. So it's really, I always say you always want to provide confidence to your kids. So did you have anything like that when you're growing up? Any hobbies or interests?
Well, I'm much older than you are,
Oh,
and
really? You could have fooled me, Patty. You could
yeah,
have fooled me.
yeah. And when you go back to our day, we didn't have as many of those organized sports like they
I
do
see.
today.
Hmm.
Not to mention, I was one of seven children, and
Wow.
we were not an affluent family. So we just did a lot of playing. My parents always had people over to our home, which was wonderful. I mean, we were part of the scouts, but I never played a formal sport or anything like that. But my mother always said nobody invites you when you have seven children. So she always did the inviting. And it was, again, and I think that that's why I find it so easy to be a host, because whether it was New Year's or Valentine's Day or Memorial Day, Labor Day, we had everything at our home. And when I say everything, I mean, I'm talking about 75 people. It was an amazing childhood. It was an amazing childhood. My parents were generous of heart, and that just, kind of wore off on me.
And you know what? You realize that they were doing without knowing at such a early age. You were networking.
Oh, yeah, right.
Think about that. No, seriously, think about that. The fact that you had to host these parties, that you were actually networking at a very early age. So you could say you've been doing this all your lifetime, networking.
Right, and it made us comfortable around people. It was very
Mm.
easy to speak to adults. I never had a challenge with that. But just in general, just to be engaging with people, we learned that at a very early age. That's true.
And I often say people do business who they know, like, and trust. And this is, you got to become friends first, and you build the business is coming over to the party, to be your friend. That's the business, that's the transaction. And when you're a young age, you want to get your friends to the party, so to speak, come to the party.
Yep,
I
yep.
still I still do that too, because believe it or not, this weekend I have a block party, and inviting some friends. And you often forget too. I'm so busy now. It's a whole different thing. The other thing I was going to ask you, what did you do? Did you go to school for? What was your degree in?
Well, like I said, my first career was in banking,
Hmm.
but when I moved over to the alternative health, there were many certifications that I achieved along the road there with natural health and things like that. So that's where I focused on. That's where I found the joy. I realized early on that I really didn't love being behind a desk. I just wanted to be out and among people. So it was that alternative health field is where I found my home.
And when you decided to go on your own, were you scared or nervous? I mean, is that
Oh no, that's easy for me. I One of the things that's easy for me is taking leaps of faith. I don't think twice. I just feel like I just make the move. Like even my center, I didn't that wasn't a planned thing. What happened is, number one, I became a massage therapist. Not that I had any great desire, but I thought, let me try it. Turned out I was very good at it. So that was the beginning of that career. And then I became a Reiki Master and then a Digestive Health Professional. And it just kind of kept escalating. And then I decided I took on a new office. Well, the new office had three treatment rooms and a waiting room, but it was just me. And it was funny because my husband said, "Don't you think you're putting the cart before the horse?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm just telling you, this is my new office." And so I took the lease and found people to come in with me. And then within another year, I took on a second office that was joined, which made it even larger, 6 treatment rooms, a couple waiting rooms. But now I had this big community room where I could do classes and events. So here I was able to teach, going back to that childhood thing of teaching, right? So for me, it's just taking those leaps of faith were, I don't know, easy for me because there's excitement. I'm not saying that there's not a little bit, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to do this? But then I think, well, why wouldn't I be able to do this?
Wow, that's it's truly great information. And you know what? We're at this part of the show that I like to say we leave a golden nugget behind, a wow golden nugget. I like to say this is a valuable information that will help other businesses or business owners become better business owners. So, is there any information that you would love to leave behind for people, to our listeners?
Well, I would say that that one piece of take that leap of faith because the excitement and the joy is on the other side of that. And it's not a case of winning or losing or failing or succeeding. It's winning or learning, right? And so we want to always be learning so that we can become better at whatever it is that we're doing.
Absolutely. We never stop learning. And I mean, look at me to continue to learn. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't know how to do this podcast a host. I never thought in my life I would become a podcast host. And look at here now. But we're learning as there's a learning process. And then, of course, we've done mistakes, obviously. And I mean, this is our second time, this is our second take, so to speak, because we've done a first take a while back. But this is it flows much better. It's much easier. And once you know what you're doing, it's easier.
Right. But I always feel like, you know what, our mistakes keep us humble. And that's a good place to be, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the toughest part is learning not to make the same mistake twice. That's the tough part.
Yeah. Well, practice makes perfect
There you go. Or consistency
or
is
makes
key.
better anyway.
And I always say consistency is key, as they say.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
do you belong to any other organizations or other networking groups that you might have mentioned that has worked for your business?
I do belong to several others. You want me to mention them?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. That doesn't
Okay,
matter.
so I
Yeah.
belong to NLX, which is Network Lead Exchange.
Okay.
I belong to a subsidiary of that, which is a women's group, a women's mastermind.
Okay.
I also belong to a group that's called Polka Dots Powerhouse, which is nationwide women's group. And so all of them have been very, very beneficial with my business.
Wow, a lot of women empowerment. I get that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
awesome. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. And now you've come to WOW and you are now an ambassador of WOW. Tell us your experience with WOW and can you share some of the stories of that will help some future members?
Well, I think with WOW, first of all, what is really exciting is that you get to meet a lot of people within 1 hour. But then after that, when you do those one-on-ones, which is where I always say that's where the magic happens, you really get to know these people. And the more you come back, you become like family. And so then it's easier for you to go, oh, you know who I want to connect you with? So I have found that people are very gracious in WOW. I feel like they look out for each other and they're very supportive of each other. And I think that that's been a real blessing.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. The other thing is now tell us about your service, what you do.
Oh, okay. So I work with a cutting edge cellular health technology that literally is changing thousands of lives every day. Our bodies are the most complicated communication system in the world, and sometimes that communication breaks down. And the product that I have now helps that communication to get back in where it's working like it should. And I got involved because my husband had been very sick, in a lot of pain, and although we spent thousands trying to get him out of pain, it was this that got us back, got his health back, and got our life back on track. So it was really exciting for me to then be able to offer this to my clients that I had at the center. And being cellular, it hits all 88 keys on the piano, so it doesn't matter what challenge we're dealing with. But the other exciting part, and this also goes back to my childhood, what this company has done for me is given me, because I have a team now, right? So there's a business opportunity. It has given me a platform to be a leader to other people so that I can not only share my dream with them, but I can help them achieve their dream. So this company has done more than just given us back our health. It's given me a a bigger dream. And without a dream, where are we, right?
Yeah, wow, that's truly amazing. And thank you for sharing your story. And Patty, tell us where our listeners can, what's the best way to contact you?
Well, I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. My website is pattiscallan.com, and that's PattiScallan.com. So all my contact information is on there. My email is easy enough. It's patty@pattiscallan.com. So any of those places they can reach out. I would love to have a conversation and see how we might be able to support each other.
Well, thank you again for your for sharing your story. And that's all for today's episode of For the Wow podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's guest as much as we enjoyed it, and keep on checking our channel for inspiring stories and discussion to help your business grow. If you'd like to become a member of Winning on Wednesday, simply visit winningonwednesday.com, scroll to the first time guest button, and follow the directions. And I hope to see you in our next meeting. So see you later. Thank you again, Patty.
Thank you so much.
And that's all.